Howdy! This is a tutorial for binding the Goodbye Alley Zine, the final edition. This will be mainly for people at Shire Post who are binding this, but I guess if you're interested, it's for whoever. We are going to start with printing. In Fiery, there are going to be two files. One is this guts, and one is covers. So guts is going to be printed on 12 by 18 plain, meaning not heavyweight 2, and then covers is going to be 12 by 18 heavyweight 2. And there are already workflows in Fiery about this. Yeah, so the 12 by 18 double-sided white paper, that's kind of our standard thick paper, and then this thin duplex is going to be that thin stuff. It is possible, if you're doing a bunch of these, maybe even just one copy, you might have to order some paper. The important part with paper is the thinness. So the paper we're using right now is this Omnilux 12 by 18 60 pound, and it says smooth here. This is text weight. That's super important. Oh yeah, you can check this GSM, 90 GSM. So this is going to be a lot thinner than the other stuff we have. The thicker paper that we use is this 65 pound cover, and then you can see 176 GSM. The paper text weight is, don't even get me started. But anyway, that's what you need to print it on. Partially, it's cheaper, number one. It doesn't have to be that brand, but we want it to be that thinness, just because, as you can see, after we staple them, there's not like a ton more room, just volume-wise, to like get more paper in there. So we have to keep it like about this thick. And yeah, all of the sheets comes out to, I don't know how thick, like an inch or something. Okay, so I've loaded our thinner paper in tray 5 just to keep it separate from the other paper, just not to be confused. Loaded up close to the max line. And yeah, it's printing the guts right now. When we print the covers, I'll show you what that's about. So before or during, while you're printing the covers, get out the laminator and turn it on. And then you'll feel it kind of running, get hot, and you want to wait until that green light is ready. It's kind of hard to see. And to explain the thing that we're trying to do with the covers is we have thicker paper laminated on one side. So the outside is laminated on the front and back cover, but then that very first inside page is just regular paper texture on the front and back cover as well. So we're going to be putting two covers together, laminating them at the same time, so only the outside gets laminated. And my hot tip when doing this is, if you need to print just one set of 4 books, no worries. But if you are able to print multiples of 2, if you get like 2 back covers, and this was 2 front covers, you do front covers and 2 back covers and put them together this way, it'll come out better. There's just a little bit of like ink transference if you have one back cover, one front cover. Again, not a huge issue. So we have our 12 by 18 transparency pouch. So this is like sealed together here. La, 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 la. Open it up. This is gonna be wacky with one hand, but I'll try my best. So we're trying to just get it as lined up as we can, both with the sides of the pouch and just like as far towards this as we can. It's pretty much going to match exactly on the sides of this pouch, and then there's going to be like a little bit hanging off the edge. That's totally fine. Half the books are going to have a part of the cover that is not totally aligned. That's okay. Okay, so I got it pretty well aligned. Yeah, I'm just gonna check the sides of this. Pretty good. Just like a little bit hanging over, but looks good on that side. So I'm gonna say this is good. I'm gonna feed it into the laminator. Try to just go as straight as possible. And this is gonna take a while. And the important thing with these is run it through twice. Whatever way you need to help remind yourself. It's just gonna help the lamination seal to the paper better. And since there's gonna be kind of a raw edge where the lamination isn't sticking to itself, it's gonna be like easier for the lamination to come off of the paper. So we're doing everything we can to give it its best shot. I am running it through a second time. Now that we have our laminated sheets, they're already like separate from each other except for this piece right here. So just use this paper cutter to trim it off. And I get pretty dang close to the paper. Yeah, pretty dang close. Can't do this with one hand. So now we have our front cover, one side shiny, one side not. Now we can grab our back cover and get to binding. Front cover, back cover, if you get these confused, look for the page number. Back cover is gonna have the largest one. Most pages have numbers. This one is one of the ones that don't. So we're gonna grab some guts and then match these up. And I got some piles of guts here. You can see there's 2 different sets of guts. They're pretty thick. It's thick enough where you're like, is this really just one book? And if you're curious, like, you know, go halfway in, look at the page numbers. It's gonna be 74. So that's pretty close to 100, close to half the book. This one, there are 220 pages total if you count the covers. And then I'm gonna match it up. So back cover goes on the back like this. It'll be kind of white on white. On the front cover side, it'll be this green on green. So if it looks like they match, they do. If not, you got the covers on backwards. And thankfully, the way these books are laid out, if you flip it around, it's still gonna be correct. So here we got one like that, flipped around, still correct. I mean, that decision has absolutely paid off. And getting everything aligned is probably like the funkiest part of this process. So you can see I'm like holding everything together and just kind of shaking it. When I first pick it up, sometimes there's like lots of loose little pieces, so I'm trying not to really crease them. But then to kind of get it like that, I'll start banging it. And there's like machines that all they do is just wiggle and but yeah, they just wiggle paper, so it's like in a nice. So just gonna wiggle it around. So now I'm seeing the top is like nice and flat. So then I can start worrying about like the sides, different direction. And then here is the trickiest part. So having these like big binder clips. And what I'm trying to do is get like 2 corners clipped so that it's kind of nice and flat and even. And then I'll start stapling. So I'm just gonna try to get one corner really good. I'm trying to hold it so it doesn't slip. Very good. It usually takes me a lot longer to do these. And then I'm going on the opposite corner and just trying to get it really nice and tight. And then clipping that again. And then here, I'm gonna double check. Okay, we got the white on white for that cover, green on green for that cover. And you can see there's like, the front cover's coming out a little bit. That's probably because, yeah, it slipped a little bit, so I'm just gonna manually squonk it. Yeah, and here this happens a lot. There's like a little bit of plastic from the lamination. So it was aligned to the plastic and not the paper. So just kind of manually realign it to the paper itself. And then, yeah. And then we get to stapling. The stapler we're using is this Munix stapler, super heavy duty. It takes specific staples. The important part for fitting in this stapler at all is the gauge. So I believe, I might get this wrong, I believe the 23 is the gauge, and then this 5/8 is the height. So these specific staples in my hand are the ones that we need for this zine, because they are like they are the thickest staples that can go in this stapler. And by thickest, I mean longest. You can see they're just very, very long staples. Really quick, I'm going to compare. These are like standard staples that go in a standard stapler. So you can see they're a whole lot shorter than this one. So this one can like actually go through this entire book. Yeah. And then additionally, these tall ones are also just a much thicker gauge. So you can see the wire itself is just a lot thicker than these. So if you put the standard staples in this stapler, it will not work. It will jam up. And conversely, if you put these staples in a standard stapler, it will not work. It will jam up. And there are some other heights floating around here of this gauge. And they would go into the paper. It just wouldn't come out the other side because they're not tall enough. Anyway, and to reload it if you need to, you're gonna take this little bar, you're gonna push it in. That's gonna release it from this little slot that it has. Push it in, push it out, and then you can feed your staples. Let's see if it'll take more. Put your staples in here, and then kind of find the slot, lock it back in. All right. We are ready to go. So we're always going to staple on the Goodbye Alley side just because it looks nicer. This is what it looks like on the other side. So we just want the cover to have like the flat part. And you'll know it's the front cover because there's these little bitty gray hearts. There should be 3 sets of 2 hearts on each book. So what you're going to do is just position the staple part between the hearts. And if you look at the edge of the stapler here, you can see this little line. So that's where I figured out is like exactly where the staple is coming out. So you can align that line. Oh, there we go. You can align that line with the hearts. Okay, a little bit. Typically I'm like keeping the stapler head, I'm not sure what this is called, this part, pretty close. This is just really funky. Where'd it go? Okay. Okay, so move a little bit just so I can still see that guideline. Okay, looks good on that side. A bit different on that side. All right, and now, okay, my hot tip for stapling with stapler, this one specifically, you want to kind of hold it down. I'm just holding it like on top of the paper, and then I'm gonna press it further. And now I feel that the staple has kind of gone into the paper just like a little bit, just like bit it. And now I'm gonna press down. And this is like a huge trial and error. It's taken a long time to figure this out. So if you're getting lots of staples that like aren't going in correctly, they're getting a little bit mangled, just try to like slow down, make it a 3-step process. So let's align it again. Okay, so step 1, holding it firm, nothing's coming out yet. Step 2, kind of preloading it, and then step 3, all the way. Haha, okay, I did not follow my steps. I did not preload it hard enough. You can see. So we'll take that out in a second, and I'll just restaple it. And then also, once you have like 2 to 3 staples, you can take off the binder clips. Those are really just to help keep it. Actually, if you want to keep the binder clips on, it also helps it not like bend. Anyway, do whatever you want. Okay, step 1, holding firm. Step 2, preload. Okay, that was a good preload. And now I press all the way. Perfect. So I'm just checking the placement on each side. And you'll see there's like a bit of a gray line also that the staple will just be right on. It's just a very, very subtle background color texture. All right, now we're ready to cut. So we'll be using our industrial paper cutter. Please get training on this before you use it for the first time. Okay, so we only have to do 2 cuts on this. One in the middle, one between. We'll start with the one between. And also note on the back, some of the staples are kind of up a little bit and you can kind of scratch yourself on them. So when I was first doing this, I was hammering them all down. But then I figured out I could just use the paper cutter because this comes down. Don't put your hands in there like I did. This comes down and can just squish it. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to squish down the staple. So I'm just trying to get it like right on top. I can't remember exactly how thick this bar is. And then I'm just going to like squeeze it down, flip it back up. Now let's see. Yeah, so you can see that the staples are now the one that we took down, way more flat than before. Okay, so we'll flip it to the other side. I suppose you could do it from the back. It doesn't really matter. And I'm not looking at this number right now. I'm just eyeballing it. Okay, so squeeze it again. Perfect. Okay, and now we're cutting it down the middle. If you wanted to, we know this is 12-inch by 18-inch paper, so the midpoint is going to be 6 inches. This number has been a little bit off, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. But I would recommend, like, I don't know, doing it at 6 inches if you're not comfortable eyeballing it. I've just have cut enough of these that I know what this should look like. Yeah, anyway, that's what it looks like for me. And then let's set this down and cut it. Oh, you missed the best part. So now we got it. The important part is the staples are in on both sides and there's like a little bit of paper. So yeah, to me, that looks great. Open it up and get the other one. And then we can cut both of these at once the other way. And I already have this set to about 9 inches. Again, it's like a little bit off and we're gonna eyeball it. So I wanna take a look at the gap now. Just try to make it like a little bit half. Yeah, that looks good. All right, let's see if I can get a good shot of this. Perfect. And now you have your zine. It's a zine.